Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life. Friends, it's time to start thinking about next year's plantings. From the heart of Ohio, we bring you top quality elderberry and willow cuttings ready to thrive in your garden, homestead, or farm. Not only are elderberries a picturesque addition to any space, but they're also renowned for their health benefits. Packed with antioxidants and vitamins, elderberries have long been celebrated to boost the immune system and ward off colds. And here's a promise, our unique Thrive Guarantee. We're confident these cuttings are prepared to flourish and guarantee that they will sprout and grow. Pre-order your elderberry cuttings now for best variety, and yours will be the first we ship in the spring. To learn more, go to growelderberry.com. That's growelderberry.com. Hey, Thriving Farmers. Michael Kilpatrick here with yet another episode of the Thriving Farmer Podcast. And today my guests are Susan Koehler and Nathan Boone. Susan is the Farmland Preservation Program Manager for the Northwest Arkansas Land Trust. She is working alongside Nathan, who is a seasoned organic farmer and an agricultural consultant. Together with the help of NWA Food System Initiative, they are providing support to new and beginning farmers through the preservation and enhancement of wild and farmed land. Susan and Nathan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, nice to be here.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit of an overview, Susan, of kind of what does Northwest Arkansas Land Trust do?
We are a nonprofit conservation organization. We've been in existence since 2003. Our area is changing dramatically. We're in a very, honestly, growing and populated part of the state, Northwest Arkansas. And our mission is to preserve and enhance, the quality of life for all Arkansans through the permanent protection of land. And we work with landowners voluntarily that want to do that sort of thing. Also municipalities, different government agencies to either conserve that property where the land trust, maintains it and owns it, or through conservation easements that allow the land trust to ensure that the particular land that is in the program is, forever protected to preserve wildlife, watershed quality, our clean drinking water, and farms and our food shed.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And how long has the program been in existence for?
So our role with the Farmland program started in about 2018, and what has been taking place in Northwest Arkansas among many projects, to just ensure that the development and all the opportunity we have to progress and, have more economic opportunity, that we're also doing more to protect this beautiful natural space. And so in 2018, a study was done by a group of concerned citizens and among also grant makers and thought leaders to look at our food shed. And we realized we were missing some important things in our local food system, and specifically around the production and growth of fruit and vegetables. So farmers markets are really great. CSAs are thriving. There's a lot more production of fruit and vegetables than there has been in the immediate past. However, Northwest Arkansas has been losing really important acreage to fruit and vegetable production. And we had lost a lot of the wholesale or the larger production for a number of reasons, but we want to try to bring that back. And so this effort to enhance the food system was created. And not only is the Land Trust participating, but so is the University of Arkansas, which has now started a farmer training program and also an apprentice program. And then there's a really important food hub and aggregation piece that's taking place with the Spring Creek Food Hub and a facility called Market Center of the Ozarks, where we'll be able to process food for institutions and hospitals, in addition to have more of those, business to business type wholesale counts. So we're all working together to try to increase the amount of fresh food that's available in our community.
And then Nathan, talk to me a little bit about how your background and then your involvement in the project.
Yeah, so I got contacted by Susan a number of years ago, and they were just starting to think about trying to find a really kind of an epic or a keystone property that could showcase this increase in production, maybe have multiple farmers on the same property to share infrastructure, such as a packing shed, coolers, farm equipment, and things like that. So I was brought in as an organic farmer to help them seek out the land, but also start to scope out and think about what the infrastructure needed to be and scale it appropriately for the size of the project that they had in mind. And really, it's been a number of years. It's actually a lot harder to find an epic property that sounds. And we've been working quite hard to find the property. And we're going to be talking about Berryville Farm later. But that's how I came into the project.
Very cool. And so before that, what kind of farming were you doing?
I had farmed about 15 years commercially as an organic grower in Northern California, kind of diversified vegetable operation, about half direct and then half wholesale. And then when I moved back to the Midwest in Indiana, I started a green bean operation because it's kind of more like large tracts of open land and I needed to use more acres. So I kind of went into more of a commercial scale. And I've been a consultant for probably the past 15 or 20 years as well, just helping people to try to develop their farms or deal with whatever sort of production or soil problems or research, whatever people, farmers, we like to figure stuff out.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then just a side note there in that green bean operation, I'm assuming you were working with mechanical harvester then, and was that organic and shipping right into the Chicago markets, or what was the end use for those?
Yeah. I had an oxbow single row picker. That was the first one I've ever had and I loved it. It was kind of like a Dr. Seuss machine to pull behind. It had lots of moving parts and kind of was pretty exciting and stressful to operate. But once I got the hang of it, it was great. I actually had a contract with the food bank that was looking for local produce so they could do a freezing operation. So I had a really rare contract. And so I did that for 2 seasons with the Fort Wayne Food Bank, and that was fabulous. And then they found someone to grow them for free. So I actually sold my green bean picker to that guy, and now he's doing it for free.
So how does he make that work?
He is a software engineer, so that's how it works.
Okay. So he has outside income to basically put farmers out of business.
Yeah, he needed actually a tax write-off, and he's a great guy. Actually, I don't blame him at all for taking my contract.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's one way to do it. I just always feel bad for the farmers put out of business, because there's another farm, and again, fabulous operation outside of Philadelphia. They do a great work, but I'm also like, you are hurting the local farm economy, from sucking up the fabulous people, because they can afford to pay people really good money. And second, because you're actually taking, different product that could have been sold by those small farmers. So anyway,
exactly.
Yeah, but we'll move along. So you got involved in this, and so you said it was quite the process. It says to get this project off the ground and find the land.
Well, there was a lot of criteria. This is a big project, and there was a lot of hopes and dreams for this to be a cornerstone property. As I mentioned, we are looking very closely at a lot of factors. So, for example, soil quality. The farmers need good soil. The location needs to be good. Water access was actually key, because with Northwest Arkansas, without irrigation water, you can't produce good quality vegetables all season. So given the size and the scale of looking for, a 50 to 100 acre property with enough water that's somewhere where people want to live, and those are a lot of boxes to check. And so we went through all that process, and we finally found it.
Hmm. So I don't know which one of you wants to kind of go over like the property you have, but yeah, share away about like what you found and what the goal is with it.
Well, I'll start, Michael, and just
Uh-huh.
share that so there are 3 parts to our program with the Northwest Arkansas Land Trust Farmland Preservation. And it starts with a FarmLink website where seekers and landowners can connect and share, possible vision for their land, or, what they hope to grow. And we've had a number of matches and links made on the site since 2019, and it's a important part of the work.
Hmm.
The second piece is around what we call the Farmland Access Fund, where people, farmers that are interested, new farmers that are interested in purchasing land, if they need help with affordability, we look to conservation easement buying programs. We
Hmm.
have some funds available, and we're working towards also, hopefully getting access to some federal and state funds that would help us to place easements on those property through that uh, purchase process, and then therefore, reducing the cost to the farmer in the long term. And then the third piece is what we've been talking to the most today, and that's what we call Enwalt Farms Berryville. And it is named after this property that Nathan helped us to secure. It is something that the land trust is actually leasing, um, and we in turn are able to then make it available to 3 farmers. It's a mid-size type incubator project where farmers that are interested in growing, primarily again, fruits and vegetables, can have an opportunity to have stable leases. Because we're funded by a grant, it's very affordable. And then we've got this um, access to both infrastructure, the wash and pack shed, and then some shared equipment. There's temporary housing on the site. And as Nathan shared, it's really a beautiful property. It is located in Berryville, Arkansas, which is in Carroll County. It is northwest, or excuse me, a little bit more northeast, centrally located in the state, and it's just south of the Missouri border. So it is absolutely beautiful. There's creek access. Osage Creek on, most of the property has, access to the creek. And we're also installing wells and temporary housing sites for people to, get started. Each track is about 15 to 18 acres, and the
Hmm.
majority of the land is tillable and cultivatable. In part, Nathan helped us to determine that. And so we're really hoping to find farmers that are interested in scaling up and taking this next step, and optimistic that the investments we've been making in this, food system here locally will be attractive and appealing for them to have, viable businesses and also a great, lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's some sizable pieces. And the fact that it's mostly tillable. And then again, having housing on site, I know is so key, because I think if you don't live on your farm, there's always that aspect of you're just not the same. I know that when we were farming, even a few miles away, it's just that aspect of not being able to walk out every day is different.
Yes, and for the time being, it is temporary housing. So people could do, an RV or a tiny home, or, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, we are, there is a lot of housing in the area for people if they were to be consider relocating. And there's, a good base of employers. Northwest Arkansas is growing in all of, the area, and that includes Carroll County and Berryville. And the leases are at a minimum like up to 5 years, but that could be less if some that was appealing to somebody. And they also have this really great auto renew feature for an additional 3-year term, if that's also important to somebody to have more stability. Um,
Hmm.
so over time, we're looking at how we could make these more of a potentially lease to own. But the property became available, and we were really excited about the, opportunity to build this infrastructure and to get started. And so we're optimistic that as we recruit farmers, they can help us with envisioning what the next phase, for the
Hmm.
property could possibly look like.
Yeah. So there's a lot of flexibility, it sounds like, with this going forward.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nathan, do you want to share some of the specifics of the site that appealed to you guys in order to move forward with it?
Yeah, I mean, as a grower, the soil quality and the type of soil and the setting of the way the field set were very important to me. So this particular property has what's called the Perry Ridge silt loam. And what I love about silt loams is they're very forgiving and they're very easy to work with. It's a very smooth soil, so it's kind of easy to work with. It's not heavy clay, which is not easy to work with if you've ever had a heavier clay type of soil.
Yeah.
So it's just real easy to work with. It's fairly well drained. I don't think there's going to be a lot of erosion. There's some slope in some areas, but I don't think that that's going to be a problem. We found, I think, is it 2 or 3 wells, Susan, that were like almost 100 gallon per minute. So that is amazing for that particular area of Northwest Arkansas. So, the soil's great. It's an epic location. It's got a great view. It's a perched kind of a field setting where you're looking down into a creek valley, which is beautiful. Osage Creek runs right through it. And the infrastructure, the packing shed is going to be amazing. I mean, it's just going to be, like brand new, and lots of coolers and lots of places to plug things into, and drains that work and doors that work, and everything's going to be new and working. And the farm equipment's going to be there for people to learn and share and work on their properties together. And then you've got Northwest Arkansas Land Trust behind them, and a whole bunch of other people. I mean, Susan mentioned just a hodgepodge of all these different people that are working towards improving the local food production and food security in Northwest Arkansas. So it's an exciting time, actually. There's a lot of pieces in motion, and I was really excited to engage with this project and see them moving forward.
This year's Midwest Mechanical Weed Control Field Day, the nation's premier event for cultivation tools, taking place on Wednesday, September 27th at the Ohio State University Farm in Worcester, Ohio. The field day connects farmers, machinery manufacturers, and researchers for a single-day event that draws farmers from all over the Midwest. It is the place to see weeding tools of all scales for vegetables and row crops. From two-wheel walk-behind tractors to camera-guided toolbars to autonomous laser weeders. Come for the trade show, education sessions, and field demonstrations. To register and learn more, call 217-840-2128 or visit thelandconnection.org.
So then with this, what types of farmers are you looking for? Because obviously there's people that are just brand new, but it sounds like with the size of parcels here and the capacity, they may be looking for someone that has a little bit more experience.
You're right, Michael, and I'll, certainly have Nathan expand on this because of his experience, but we are looking for people that have had, some vegetable or fruit production in their past. We're looking for individuals that, possibly would really enjoy farming with other people. While there are individual tracks, you certainly will be next to one another. And, I know some farmers really appreciate more independence. And so this may not be the perfect opportunity for them because they will be sharing, some aspect of course, the pack shed and some of the equipment. The other thing that is important to mention is that other farm enterprises are permissible. So, there could be small scale livestock, beekeeping, or even agritourism. We like to think of this a little bit as like an intentional community. We will have a farm stewardship manager that will be available, to help on the ground and, with, especially as people start, to get going, with questions, farm safety equipment, of course, consultation on other aspects of their operation. We do ask that candidates produce a business plan and farm plan about what their dreams and goals are. And that'll help us to evaluate where they are and then to bring in the resources we think that they could possibly need. Because of course we want them to be successful. It's all about, trying to grow more food, have the farmer, be paid fairly and have a viable operation. And then, to hopefully, have this be successful and look to create this in other aspects of our community, along with all the other things that are happening, to advance farming, for those that are doing things more on an independent level.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then with this, it sounds like it's really an opportunity, because one of the biggest challenges, even our challenge here in Ohio is, my wife and I were talking about, we are out of land. We have an 8-acre urban farm, and there's just so many things of what we're trying to do that we just don't have enough land and for rotation. And so being able to get on land for a reasonable price, and a lease at that matter too, and that that it's not going to be yanked out from underneath you for a certain set of time at least, is key. So with this too, one of the things you talked about earlier in the interview is that, yes, you have some small farmers, but you've kind of lost that entire mid-size farm that's actually doing a little bit of wholesale or groceries. Is that what you envision for most of these farmers? Or are you kind of open to whatever they want to paint forward with the brush?
That's a great question. And we do want to see them have some business to business or wholesale or, sale to grocery stores or restaurants. We've got the Spring Creek Food Hub that is going to be serving in that role. We've not necessarily had an aggregator like that. And then we've got this new amazing processing facility that'll be coming online in 2024, where people could even be, freezing and preparing, chopping, etc., things that could maybe go to institutions. We're not requiring that they do all wholesale, but we would like to see some of that in their business plan. And then, in keeping with this being a charitable and a teaching operation, we want to see people scale at a pace that's appropriate for them. We're not asking people to come in and plant, 5 acres in year one, but we want to see how would they move up to all of the cultivatable areas at their parcel in time. There will be a greenhouse available. There's other grant opportunities, for high tunnels and such. And we really believe that people could be farming, nearly year round too, so that, that source of income can be more reliable and diversified. But it's not something we expect them to do overnight. And that's also partly what's driving the lease terms. Again, want that to be stable and want to see them getting more comfortable in their capabilities and adding on, at a pace that's appropriate for them.
Absolutely. So Nathan, do share a little bit about the growing zone down there, because I'm sure that's of interest to some folks.
Well, I think it's a fairly long growing season. I'm not grown in this particular area of the country myself, and I maybe would defer to Susan to maybe explain when the planting season typically starts. There's definitely a lot of heat in Northwest Arkansas midsummer, so there, you can grow all the summer crops. I actually wanted to, if possible, I wanted to rewind and kind of address your question of like wholesale or expectations for all of that. So when I look at this, when I look at all of these elements of this particular project, I think it's really ripe for someone to step in and quickly be able to access these direct and wholesale markets, because all the pieces are really there. Like when I don't know about you and starting your farms, but for me, the marketing and finding the consistent buyers was actually kind of the entire motor of my farm. So once I found buyers, and I found more land than I grew.
Absolutely.
And in this particular case, there's already like the forethought is there. So the aggregator hub is online, the processing facility is going online. All these people are basically cheerleading and just waiting for someone to show up and grow produce for them. That's just like unbelievable coming from California or even in the Midwest, where you really have to duke it out in the market to find yourself and to get on the shelf, so to speak. So with all that support, I think it could be pretty easy situation for even a newer grower to step in and kind of figure out, okay, I can grow these crops and I can scale up. I've got the acres to scale. I've got the buyers to buy it. And this is just a matter of learning, that learning curve of getting the right equipment and getting the right seeds and getting the right production systems in place, because it's all the pieces are just waiting for someone to show up and plug them in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, even like here in Ohio, we have a pretty robust market, but it is that aspect of it's so much easier to grow food than it is to sell it. And so if you can have the at least someone that's interested in food and that you can line up for, it's so much easier. So share a little bit about what big cities are you near there? Because Berryville is actually in the far upper north west corner, correct?
Yes. So Michael, Bentonville, Arkansas is certainly not a large city, but that and Fayetteville are west of Berryville, and they're larger, college towns, more metropolitan areas for Northwest Arkansas. You've also got, larger cities like Kansas City, to the north of us, Tulsa further west. Memphis is certainly near us, but it is much further south and east. But we are, interested there. The things are happening and growing and changing here so fast. In our, kind of 4 counties, we expect to be a million plus, metro area within, several years. So the growth here from an Arkansas perspective is unprecedented. Obviously, there's a lot of row crop farming in the Delta. There's timber. Arkansas is a very beautiful state. There's a lot of really natural resources, that are just amazing from a recreation perspective too. But Northwest Arkansas is experiencing a lot of growth because there's a lot of other industry here. There's a diverse consumer packaged goods community. Walmart's headquarters is in Bentonville. And then you have, some trucking organizations and then the university that are really making it appealing. And there's a lot of people that are moving here, from other parts of the country for those opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think you got some major lakes there too. So you've got Branson north of you in Missouri, and then you have a pretty large lake to the west of you between you and Bentonville, which I'm sure is a lot of tourism.
Yes, there is a lot of tourism here, and a lot of arts and culture that is happening, a lot of food interest, specialized restaurants, and they want more local food. And that's what really, also predicated the interest. Not only are we not getting enough fresh produce, to residents, but also those restaurants are really interested in trying to highlight more local food. So there's a lot happening from, again, like you said, the tourism and also even the entrepreneurship and the arts area where there's opportunity for here for people to have businesses and also a great life.
Absolutely. So how can people find out more about getting involved and also just, find out more details?
Well, that's where we would use our website, and that is NWALT, NWALT farms.org, NWALT Farms. And that is also our FarmLink website. And there's an application there and a page dedicated to this. When we call it on the website Farmland Lease Program, there's videos there. There's, a lot of information, and then the application. And of course, my contact information is available there, but I would direct people there as a start. And then, we're happy to have one-on-one conversations or meetings and even site visits. We certainly would welcome having people come out and look at the property. We will be doing some sort of an open house in the next 60 days once the pack shed is completed. But that would be the best way to start the process, is nwaltfarms.org.
All right, nwaltfarms.org. And anything else that either of you want to share?
I just think this is a fabulous opportunity for any grower that wants to grab a once in a lifetime opportunity. I think it's really amazing. And any grower in any part of the country should really take a look at this and see if it lines up with their aspirations, because I think it's a great opportunity.
Susan?
Michael, I would echo what Nathan says. Obviously I'm involved in the project and I'm excited about it. And I have some degree of bias, but there's, so much thought and there's so much momentum behind what we're trying to do, grow more food, grow farmers, bring back this heritage to Northwest Arkansas. And there's just a lot of great things that are happening in the community and in the state that, we would love, to see people look at this and to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you too for coming on. I think it's a great opportunity. And again, it's one of those things that if I'd had this 10 years ago, it would have been very different. I remember back in New York, that was our biggest challenge, is we were a full hour from our markets. And, we were cobbling together 6 or 8 different pieces of property to get the farmland that we needed to farm. And so finding, a one dedicated spot that we could do all the production we needed would have been incredibly valuable. And here in Ohio, same thing. We're landlocked. We've got a train track on one side, a road on another side, and houses on 2 others. So, having that availability to high quality land is essential and is very, very challenging. So, it's a great project. I'm looking forward to see, what kind of happens over the next couple of years and the farmers that make it onto the land.
We appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Absolutely. So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.